My name is Patricia Williams, and at 68 years old, I thought I had finally earned the right to breathe. I was wrong. The day my children showed up at my new house with a lawyer, demanding I sign over half my property, I realized the people I sacrificed everything for had been planning to rob me blind. But here's what they didn't know. I had been 3 steps ahead of them for months. And what happened in that courtroom? They never saw it coming. Before we start, smash that like button right now, subscribe to this channel, and turn on all notifications because this story will make you question everything you think you know about family. Comment below where you're watching from, and trust me, you need to hear how this mother got the ultimate revenge on her greedy children. Let me take you back to where this nightmare began. After my husband Samuel died in a factory accident, I raised Monica and Brandon alone. I worked 2 jobs, mopping hospital floors at night, caring for elderly patients during the day. Every dollar I earned went to them. New shoes, school trips, college funds, car payments. I gave them everything. They gave me nothing but demands. Monica grew up ashamed of me. I'll never forget the day I showed up to her school concert in my janitor uniform because I didn't have time to change. She saw me in the crowd and looked away, pretending I didn't exist. That small wound never healed. Brandon was different. He was sweet as a child, always holding my hand. But as he grew older, he learned how to manipulate me. "Mom, everyone else has one," he'd say about things I couldn't afford. One day he jokingly called me an atom. My daughter laughed. Neither of them saw me as a person anymore. I was just a resource to drain. If you've ever felt used by your own family, comment, "Me too" below and hit that like button. This story is about to get intense. The breaking point came when Brandon called me late one night. His voice was warm, apologetic, the tone he always used when he wanted something. He needed a small favor. Just a credit card in my name so he could reset his finances. He promised to make the payments. He swore it was temporary. Said yes. Old habits die hard. 2 months later, a letter arrived. $8,000 in debt. Missed payments. Late fees. Interest piling up like a mountain I'd never climb. When I confronted Brandon, he sighed like I had inconvenienced him. "Don't worry so much, Mom. You've always been good for it. I'll pay you back eventually." Eventually. That word broke something inside me. That night something changed. I was sitting alone in my kitchen, staring at that debt letter, and I realized I had spent 40 years being afraid of my own children. Afraid they'd stop loving me if I said no. Afraid they'd abandon me if I wasn't useful. But they had already abandoned me. They just kept me around to pay their bills. Subscribe right now if you want to see how Patricia gets her revenge. Turn on that notification bell because this is about to explode. Around that time I met Dorothy, a retired nurse who became my closest friend. She noticed how exhausted I looked, how I jumped every time my phone rang, terrified it would be Monica or Brandon asking for more money. One day, she slid a napkin across the table with a name written on it. "You need to talk to someone who can help you protect what you have left," she said. The name was David Chen, a financial advisor. I was embarrassed at first. I barely understood my own paycheck. But David didn't judge me. He listened to my whole story, the debt, the manipulation, the years of giving until I had nothing left. When I finished, he looked at me and said something that changed my life. "You're vulnerable, Mrs. Williams. Not because of your age, but because you've never been allowed to prioritize yourself." He was right. David helped me create a binder. A detailed record of every account, every debt, every suspicious transaction. He told me to write down dates, conversations, anything my children said or did that felt wrong. First, it felt like I was betraying them. But then I realized I was finally protecting myself. Over the next few months, David showed me something incredible. With my years of steady rent payments and my late husband's modest pension, I could actually buy the small house I'd been renting for years. Me a homeowner. Felt impossible. But it wasn't. Comment, "You deserve it," if you think Patricia earned this. And like this video right now. Then something miraculous happened. One of my elderly patients, Margaret Foster, passed away. She was a woman with no close family, someone I had cared for with genuine love during her final years. At her memorial, her lawyer pulled me aside. Margaret had left me $200,000. I couldn't breathe. I told him there must be a mistake. He assured me there wasn't. Margaret had written that I was the only person who made her last years feel like living, not just waiting to die. I cried on the bus ride home. Not from joy, but from the overwhelming weight of being seen, truly seen, by someone who owed me nothing. David helped me use that money wisely. Within months, I had purchased a beautiful home worth $800,000. It wasn't a mansion, but it was mine. Sunlit rooms, garden, space to finally breathe. I didn't tell Monica or Brandon. I wasn't ready for their reaction. But the internet has a way of exposing secrets. My friend Dorothy posted a photo of me standing on my new porch laughing. She shared it in a small retiree group online, thinking nothing of it. But Monica found it. She showed Brandon. They looked up the address, found the property records, saw the value. And they lost their minds. Subscribe and hit that like button because what happens next is absolutely wild. 3 weeks after I moved in, my doorbell rang. I opened the door expecting my neighbor with lemon muffins. Instead, I saw Monica in a tailored coat she couldn't afford, Brandon smelling like last night's whiskey, and between them, a stranger in a gray suit holding a briefcase. "Mom," Monica said, her voice cold and businesslike. "We need to talk. This is Mr. Bennett. He's here to help us make sure you're protected." The lawyer stepped forward with a rehearsed smile. "Mrs. Williams, your children are concerned about your recent financial decisions. They'd like you to sign a co-ownership agreement for this property. For your safety." I felt my stomach drop. They weren't here to celebrate with me. They were here to take what I had finally built for myself. "Is that really why you're here?" I asked quietly. Monica's face hardened. "Mom, you're almost 70. You're not thinking clearly. We're trying to protect you from being manipulated." "Manipulated by who?" "By whoever convinced you to buy a house you can't afford," Brandon added. "This is reckless, Mom. Dangerous." I didn't invite them in. I stood in my doorway, the winter air biting my arms, and said one word. "No." The lawyer tried again. "Mrs. Williams, this is a simple precaution. Your children just want to ensure." I said no. Monica's voice rose. "Are you serious right now? After everything we've done for you? Everything they'd done for me?" I almost laughed. But I didn't. I just closed the door. Comment "good for her" if you're on Patricia's side. Like and subscribe because this battle is just beginning. They didn't give up. Within a week, I received a letter from Mr. Bennett demanding mediation. They claimed they were worried about my mental state, my impulsive behavior, my vulnerability to scams. I agreed to mediation, but not because I was afraid. 'Cause I was ready. The day of the mediation, Monica and Brandon sat across from me with their lawyer, looking concerned and righteous. Monica spoke in a polished, rehearsed tone about my recent instability. Brandon mentioned my forgetfulness and confusion. Mr. Bennett pushed papers across the table like he was closing a business deal. "If you just sign here, Mrs. Williams, we can protect your assets and ensure your children can help manage." I reached into my bag and placed my binder on the table. Their talking stopped. I opened it slowly and turned it so they could see. Copies of debt letters. Bank statements showing Brandon's $8,000 credit card bill in my name. Notes I'd written after every manipulative phone call. Proof of every time they had used me, lied to me, taken from me. Monica's face went pale. Brandon's jaw clenched. Mr. Bennett shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I've been documenting everything for months," I said calmly. "Every transaction, every conversation, every lie. So if you want to talk about who's being manipulated here, we can do that. But I think we both know it's not me." The mediator asked if I wanted to continue. Said yes. And for the first time in my life, I spoke the truth without softening it for their comfort. Smash that like button if you're cheering for Patricia. Subscribe and turn on notifications because this gets even better. They left the mediation furious. And 1 week later I received court papers. Monica and Brandon were petitioning for a conservatorship evaluation. They claimed I was mentally compromised, financially reckless, and at risk of being exploited. Reading those words felt like being stabbed by the hands I once held while teaching them to walk. The court ordered a cognitive assessment. I had to sit in a doctor's office and prove my mind still belonged to me. Answer memory questions. Complete puzzles. Recite dates. It was humiliating. But I did it. Dr. Rachel Moore, the psychologist who evaluated me, was kind. When she finished, she told me gently that my memory was completely normal for my age. I wasn't confused. I wasn't impaired. I was just a woman who had finally learned to say no. The relief hit me like a wave. On the day of the hearing, I walked into the courtroom with my binder under my arm like armor. Monica sat on one side, polished and tense. Brandon sat next to her, avoiding my eyes. Their lawyer, Mr. Bennett, spoke first. He painted me as fragile, confused, overwhelmed. He made me sound like a stranger to my own life, like someone who needed to be saved from herself. When my turn came, my attorney, Susan Blake, stood beside me and asked me to speak. I told the truth. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Just plainly. I told the court about the years I worked 2 jobs. The nights I went without sleep. The debts I paid that weren't mine. The fear that saying no would shatter whatever love my children had left for me. I told them I was tired of being treated like a resource instead of a person. When I finished, the courtroom was completely silent. Comment justice. If you believe Patricia deserves this moment, like this video and subscribe. Judge Harrison denied their petition immediately. His voice was firm, almost stern as he said, "Conservatorship is not a tool for controlling a parent's autonomy. This petition is denied." Monica's face crumpled. Brandon stared at the floor. Mr. Bennett gathered his papers quickly, avoiding eye contact. But the story didn't end there. Susan Blake submitted additional evidence from my binder. Bank records. Forged signatures. A loan taken against my old house that I never authorized. The court launched an investigation into financial misconduct. Brandon was questioned first. When investigators confronted him, he panicked and tried to blame everything on Monica. She retaliated by showing proof that he had forged my signature multiple times. Their united front crumbled instantly. Charges were filed. Financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Fraud. Forgery. Watching your own children stand before a judge is not a victory. It's a grief all its own. But I didn't cause this. They did. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this story. Like if Patricia inspired you. Subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. Months later, after the sentencing hearings and legal battles were over, I finally moved into my quiet life. My garden began to bloom. I cooked in a kitchen that felt like safety. I sat on my porch in the evenings and watched the sunset without fear. Some nights I still think about Monica and Brandon. Not the adults who tried to steal from me, but the children I raised. The little girl who used to braid my hair. The little boy who held my hand crossing the street. I mourn them. But I don't regret saving myself. Because here's what I learned. Loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. Saying no doesn't make you cruel. And protecting yourself, even from your own children, doesn't make you a bad mother. It makes you someone who finally chose to survive. If this story moved you like this video right now, subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you never miss powerful stories like this. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to stand up for yourself. Comment below. I choose me if Patricia's story inspired you to prioritize yourself. And remember, you don't owe anyone your peace. Not your children. Not your family. Not anyone. Your life belongs to you. Thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Patricia Williams reminding you that survival sometimes looks like finally saying no.